Morning, First Universalist. Please rise and embody your spirit. Join us in singing the opening hymn. Gather the Spirit, number 347 in your gray hymnal. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this light appear all the same.
Good morning. Welcome to First Universalist Church. My name is Jen Crow. My pronouns are she and her, and it is an absolute joy and privilege to get to serve as senior minister here with you. It's also a joy to get to lead worship today with Reverend Laura Smidzik, with Jean Guion, with Lynn Broaddus, with Amy K. Bryant and Jay Albright, and also so much gratitude to Rob and to Olu, who keep all of our tech working. We're grateful for you, and we're grateful for everyone who tends this community and this space. Our flowers today are a gift in celebration of Wendell Vandersloos's life. We're so grateful for the beauty, and also grateful for everyone who worked to make his celebration of life service on Friday such a gift to us all. Thank you for being here this morning, everyone. Thanks for being here in person. Thanks for joining us online. It's good to be together in all of the ways that we can be, taking a risk on connection and community and on the power of love each and every time we show up in community together. Now, this is a community where we gather in music, in song, in prayer, in learning, and growth. We are a congregation who sways to the Universalist side of Unitarian Universalism, which means that this is a place where we declare each and every person born whole and holy and worthy, welcome and wanted exactly as we are, all with room to grow. This is a place where we practice beloved community. We don't think we've arrived or that this is a one and done kind of experience. We practice building beloved community, and we trust that beloved community grows out of the experience of unconditional love that cannot help but transform us individually and collectively. This is who we are. This is what we are about. This is what we do together. We strive to create a world of mutual thriving for us all in the here and now. Now, a couple of notes for us for today. During the summer months, our faith formation for children and youth takes some time to regroup and plan for the year ahead. So in our services over the summer, we welcome, just as we always do, really, people of all ages here in this space. What that means is do not feel like you have to be quiet all the time. Feel free to get up and move around if that is what your body needs, to come and go if that is what's helpful to you. We're glad that you're here. Come and please show up in whatever ways are most comfortable for you. We also have new childcare providers who are working today down in our childcare space, so big welcome to them. Super excited about that. Stop by and say hi and welcome them. Also, just a note that we live stream our services. So what that means is that our worship services are available on YouTube after the fact. It also means that you may appear on that recording if you are especially toward the front of the sanctuary. If you'd prefer not to be on recordings, the best spots are toward the back or up in the balcony. All right, we have been on a journey this summer about the Unitarian Universalist take on various important topics. What's the Unitarian Universalist take on human nature? What's the Unitarian Universalist take on revelation, on sacred prophecy? What's the Unitarian Universalist take on community? Today we're going to dive into what is a Unitarian Universalist take on spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is something that I believe is absolutely essential for our own personal and collective growth. But what in the world does that even mean for a Unitarian Universalist? I have to say I'm grateful to be part of a lineage that has explained this and reinforced it generation after generation. For us, a spiritual practice has three essential components. One, it happens regularly. So not just once and you never get back to it again, but on a regular basis, whatever that means for you. It's done with intention, and the intention is for connection. Regularity, intention, connection. The connection can be to your deepest self. It can be to the larger world, the natural world all around us. It can be connection to generations, past, present, future. It can be connection to your understanding of God or higher power. You get to define these things. The important part is that spiritual practice is done regularly with intention for connection. So, When we gather for worship like this on Sundays, this is our collective spiritual practice, or one of them. We do it regularly, on purpose, with the intention of connecting with our deepest selves, with each other, and with the legacy, past, present, and future of our faith. So you're going to hear 3 different takes on Unitarian Universalist spiritual practice today, and I look forward to this journey together. You might ask, why do we care about spiritual practice? And I want to tell you just 3 small but very important things about that. Thoreau, who we often claim as a Unitarian ancestor, used to say, he didn't call it spiritual practice. He would talk about his practices of writing, of walking, of reflection as opportunities for light to shine in on the soul. That's what these are. Opportunities for light to shine in on the soul. Doesn't happen every time, but we create the opportunity. One of my mentors used to say that spiritual practices are for helping you find and keep your balance. I like to think of that too as they put a pause in between thought and reaction. They change the quality of our attention to be more present and more loving. This is what we're after. I'm grateful for all the ways that we are shaped together and that we practice creating community together. This morning, before we launch into our service, I want to take a moment to celebrate the many different ways that we dream together as a faith community and the many ways we make those dreams real together. Some of you might remember from our annual meetings and our annual reports, from our financial update meetings that we hold throughout the year, that the church carries a construction loan for the renovation work that we did several years ago, work that allowed our building to become the welcoming, accessible, beautiful space it is in this moment, not just for us, but for the wider community as well. You might also remember that at our annual meeting in June, several of you said, we really have to get rid of this construction loan. This is a drag on our resources, our time, our attention. We need to be able to show up fully to this moment and to bring our vital ministry and mission alive. So here's what happened since June. A small group of congregants got together to see what could be done about this construction loan, and they've been working diligently this summer. And I want to invite Lynn Broaddus, who's been chairing this team, to come up and tell us a little bit about what they've been up to.
Thanks, Jen. It's great to be here. Yes, as she said, at the annual meeting, and really starting with the pledge campaign over the winter, where we asked people to dream, this topic of paying off our construction loan kept coming up. It was kind of interesting because I think most people didn't even know we had a construction loan. Not all that many people are diving into the details of our budget. But as much as people said, oh, we really need to get rid of it, can't just erase a $1.36 million debt. And that's what was remaining on our loan. And it's the rate at which we pay it down is pretty slow. So we had, in 5 years it was going to still be $1 million, and then we'd have to come up with another strategy for how to deal with that million. It's just going to be hanging around. Now, meanwhile, there were a couple of people who privately came up to Jen and said, I want to help with this. Financially, I want to help with this. And so Jen and I talked. I was, as chair of stewardship committee, I'm a natural person to speak to about this. And we pulled together a small group. And I think everyone from that group is here this morning. There's me, there's Mark Gorlick, chair of the board. Mark, wave your hand there or stand up. Cameron Smither, who's the board treasurer. Jean Guillon, who's another board member. And Ginny McInich, there we go, who's on the stewardship committee. So the 6 of us, is that the right number, had started meeting regularly. And we thought, okay, we didn't want to just take this request to the congregation as a whole, because if we didn't think it was going to work. So first we started by testing the waters. We spoke with reached out to and spoke to most of about 50 different households in the congregation. And we realized the water was warm, so we felt invited to go a little bit further, and we invited those people, about 30 of them came to a gathering in church members' homes, and kind of filled in a little bit more detail about what we were up against. And I can tell you that as of today, we have, of that $1.36 million loan, we have commitments for $910,200. You can't do it if you don't ask, right? And of those dollars, 552,000, I think, something close to that. Oh, those are sunglasses. They are not going to help me. But anyways, around 550,000 is actually in the door. And as it comes in, anybody who's ever tried to pay off a loan with interest knows that the faster you get that paid down, it kind of accelerates the payoff. So as it's coming in, Brad Schmidt in our office is sending it on over to Sunrise Bank at this point, our balance is significantly less than $1 million. And we have remaining on, if we want to get to that full amount, we have about $450,000 left to raise. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this partly to bring you into the conversation, and so you can share in the excitement and appreciation for those that have stepped up to the plate already, partly to let you know that you're going to continue to hear about this in the coming weeks. This is just kind of a soft announcement here, and we hope for some celebrations and opportunities for everybody to participate in whatever way is meaningful for them. This morning, if you have questions about it this morning, a couple of us will be at a table in the social hall. I understand there might be some candy at the table. So please stop by whether you have a question or you just want to inspect the candy. So see you there.
Thanks so much, Lynn. And thanks to all of you. The vision of this community and the ways we make it real together continue to inspire me every day. As we prepare to enter into worship, I remind us of the words of the Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, who wrote, "The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together our vision widens, and our strength is renewed." Let's take a breath together, maybe 3. A chance to arrive fully in this place of community and care. And I invite you to join in saying with me the words for the lighting of our chalice, if you wish, words that hold us together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
This is one of my favorite hymns. It's the meditation on breathing. And I'm standing here because I'm going to do what I don't usually do, and I'm going to kind of direct something that I learned from the AAUM conference that you all so generously sent me to. So, yes! You probably know it, which makes my job so much easier. So let's start with the melody, which goes, "When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Okay, so then the more adventuresome part goes. Jay's gonna play it. It goes, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. Would you sing that? When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. And then the next line goes, when I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Sing that. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Let's do it together. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. You got it. And then if you just want to like feel your voice in your body, you can sing the drone, which goes, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Let's do that some more. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So this song is a kind of choose your own adventure. You can sing whichever part you like, and you can switch around and sing all the parts if you want, however you want to do it. So let's sing through the form of the song as many times as feels good for us. Here we go. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. You all sound so good. We're going to do it one more time. I want to invite you, if it feels comfortable for you, to close your eyes and really listen to your voice and the voices around you. Really listen to the voices around you. Your voice sounds great. Okay, here we go. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
That felt good. We're going to continue in with our breath, with settling in. As always, I'll offer invitations. Do whatever feels right for you. This is a time of settling our bodies, of connecting with our breath. It can be done eyes closed or eyes open, seated or standing. You might take a moment to notice your feet connected to the floor. You might place your hands on the back of the pew in front of you if you're here, or on this pulpit like I do. a chance to feel the generations, the connections that go back well before us, the way our feet root into this place and into the earth, crossing the generations past, present, and future. You might take a moment to let your breath settle and slow, remembering your breath is with you always and everywhere. Every place you go, every situation you find yourself in, here we are together. By breathing in deeply and breathing out slowly, we settle our nervous systems. We reconnect with our deepest selves and with one another with our breath. Let's make time and space to do that now. In community, we remember that we are never alone. When we settle in and connect with our breath, we remember that our inhales are each other's exhales. Our exhales, each other's inhales. We are connected whether we remember it or not. Connected in the vast turning that is the cycle of life for us all. As we gather this morning with shared breath and shared heart, shared purpose and vision, we remember the turning of the cycle of life for each of us. We hold in gratitude all who have cared for and continue to care for Jeff Snyder, who had heart surgery this week, successful heart surgery in Rochester, yes. He'll be returning to the Twin Cities tomorrow. We are so grateful. We remember all of the summer campers and staff and mentors and guides who are about to make this building a well of beautiful chaos. We wrap them in our love and send them our strength for all that is ahead. We remember those who are living with grief, with illness, with addiction, with fear. We pray together that we might make a world of comfort and care. We pray too for justice, for freedoms, for mutual thriving, for care, for each and all, for resolve for each of us, for remembering our kinship with one another and the responsibilities that come with it. We make space too for all that we're carrying in our own hearts. In this space of quiet, we remember our own cares and concerns, our worries and joys, and we trust that they are held in this space, in our shared hearts, with care and with love. And together we say and remember, you are not alone. We are holding it together. Let us join in song as well.
All the stirrings of My name's Reverend Laura. I use she, her pronouns, and each Sunday we engage in the spiritual practices that bring our faith alive in the world. As Unitarian Universalist spirit and love and hope, we give, we receive, and we grow. In this time of offering of shared resources, we trust that when we all share what we have, we can all have what we need. We're reminded that this is a time, at this time and all times in community, it's time not only to give, but to receive. So if you are in a place of need of financial or spiritual care, please feel free to talk to one of the staff members. We or someone on our congregational care team are here to support you. So we've been speaking about shared ministry over the past year, and we are excited to announce that there's a new offertory team pulling itself together. So they will be looking to you in the congregation for nominations for organizations that we can share the offering plate with on Sunday mornings. So there will be a blurb in the Liberal, our weekly e-news this week, that will include a nomination form, and that will live on our website as well. But we're opening it up so others can express interest in organizations that you all know do good work. Today, we are collecting funds for Dream of Wild Health. Their mission is to restore health and well-being in the Native community by recovering knowledge of and access to healthy Indigenous foods, medicines, and lifeways. Let our spiritual practice of sharing what we have support the spiritual practice of others. Dream of Wild Health supports rebuilding spiritual practices of our Indigenous siblings by providing land to grow on and through learning the teachings of elders and ancestors. Our morning offering will now be received.
As we turn to our conversation about spiritual practice and Unitarian Universalism, I have to start with acknowledging my ancestors in this, the folks of whom I am of the lineage. I have to name the Reverend Dr. Laurel Hallman, who served as senior minister at the First Unitarian Church of Dallas, as one of the first female senior ministers of a large congregation in a time when there were not many, and who demanded of herself and others spiritual practice at the heart of her and our faith. I have to recognize the Reverends Rob and Jan Eller-Isaacs, who were my mentors, who served in St. Paul at Unity Church Unitarian, and who made it clear when I came, even before I arrived for my internship there, that the first question in every conversation we were going to have was going to be, how is it with your spiritual practice, Jen? Really, every conversation. There was no missing the importance of the ground of this to ministry and faith. And anyone who has worked with me or has been an intern in the congregations where I've served has been faced with the same question over and over again. How is it with your spiritual practice? So I want to tell you about two quickly that exist for me that have been some of my recent ones. You can always turn to the traditional prayer, meditation, journaling, singing, walking, reflecting on poetry and sacred scripture. There are so many options. I have what I consider my base ones, which I start the day with, which is prayer for me, the same prayers I've been saying for almost 30 years now. But then I add on. And one of the things I've added on over the last 6+ months, more than that at this point, as we moved through the federal occupation times here, and I was often feeling more scared than I liked and needed to settle my body and myself. A friend suggested a very simple thing. Fill your life with life, they said. Every morning, every night, get outside. Remember the bigger picture. And so I did another thing that I'd been taught, which was pair my spiritual practice with something that's happening anyway. Go outside, this is how I did it, with the dog, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. Look up at the sky. Remember, I am part of all that is so much bigger than this moment. I'll tell you, when I was starting with spiritual practice, my spiritual teacher at the time said that piece of pair your spiritual practice with something you do anyway. And her big suggestion was every time you go to the bathroom, which is frequently, say a prayer. I found that not only was that something I could do, but I often found myself sneaking to the bathroom, or what felt like it, especially in awkward or uncomfortable situations where I needed to refuel my strength and sense of connection. She reminded me, whatever situation you're in, you can say, I gotta go to the bathroom, go recenter, and come back. I love the practical. So I want to add one other spiritual practice to this story that I think is especially relevant for today and this time. For me, another key spiritual practice is learning the stories of my ancestors and having them with me in my pocket, in my heart, so that I can draw upon them whenever I need them, and I never know when I am going to need them. But this past week, I have been remembering a story that comes from the congregation I used to serve in Rochester, New York, First Unitarian Church there. Church of Susan B. Anthony, church that hosted Frederick Douglass, church that was the first physical site of Planned Parenthood in Rochester, New York. Now, when I served in that congregation, one of the things I got to do as assistant minister was lead the membership classes. And I made it my business to learn the stories, and especially to be able to pair every room in the building as I walked through giving the church tour with a story about somebody or something that happened. And there was the David Reese Williams Gallery. And David Reese Williams served as the minister of that congregation from the 1920s to the 1950s for more than 30 years. And here's the story that came up for me this week about him. You can probably guess why. Now, if you take the time of the 1920s to the 1950s, there were some volatile and important things happening in our world and within the United States. And there were many times that David Reese Williams and the congregation were associated with communism or being in the public eye and involved in some controversies that kind of brought attention to him and to the church. The story goes that during the McCarthy era, he had been accused of communism, and it had been published, in the church newsletter that went out by paper that he'd be giving a sermon on democracy coming up that week. I think this was in the 40s or early 50s. And that Sunday arrived, and he was getting ready for the service to begin, and up in the pulpit, kind of getting ready. And the head usher came over to him and whispered in his ear and said, "David, I don't know if you know this, but a couple of folks from the FBI have just arrived. They're trying to hide out in the back, but we know who they are because, well, they're better dressed than any of us. And they're also clearly carrying a recording device. What do you want us to do?" And David said, "Thanks, you don't need to do anything. Thank you for letting me know." The service began. He did his usual welcome to everybody, and he added into the welcome, "I hear we have some visitors with us here this morning, and I am so glad that you're here, and I don't want you to miss a word of what I am going to say, so would you all please come up and take the front pew?" And then David preached the sermon he had planned on democracy, on how democracy is, in fact, an expression of religious point of view. He preached exactly as he had intended. He was somebody who didn't shy away from the truth of who we are as Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists, and he believed that the function of religion was to challenge the complacency and inertia of the rest of mankind. That's his words. So I have had this story in my pocket for more than 20 years, or about 20 years. And it has been there waiting for me for when I needed it. We, friends, are part of a lineage, all of us, that can help guide us when we need it. So, as you have probably heard this week, it's been conclusively revealed that there's been federal surveillance of activities within this church building over the last many months. Not just us, but other congregations, other communities of resistance in the Twin Cities. And I now just rest in the reality that we are in very good company. We know who we are. We know what we do. We know what the work of the church is. And our spiritual practice grounds us in that work. Amen.
We'll sing Winds Be Still. It's number 83 in the hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit. Winds be still. Storm clouds pass and silence go. Peace reigns this time with harmony. Fly, bird of
Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in the sounds that become full symphony.
Good morning. My name is Jean Guion, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a member of this church for the past 16 years, and among other involvement, I currently serve as a member of the Board of Trustees. I'm going to do a little caveat before I speak on my spiritual practice. Jen and I just talked on Friday about me doing this. So I had not a lot of notice. So I was like, wow, not much time to prepare. And also, I get a bit anxious that the symptoms of my essential tremors are going to present themselves. They can really kick in times of stress. Although I feel really comfortable, I've come to embrace that the hand shaking, the head shakes, the voice quivers are my body responses and not nervousness about being with all of you. So if you notice that, sometimes people say you sounded really nervous, and it's like, this is my essential tremors. A non-threatening condition, hereditary in my case, but something that I'm leaning into in my spiritual practice as accepting. So saying yes to so I'm going to read a lot because I didn't have time to practice this. Being here today is actually a part of my spiritual practice. I've chosen to share a bit of my personal journey as an invitation to you and possibly as an opportunity to reflect on this practice for yourself. Generosity as a spiritual practice. I grew up in the 1950s in a large working class family with a spirit of abundance, certainly not of money, but with an abundance of people. There were 9 of us, of noise and activity, of playfulness, kindness, radical hospitality, and for me, not all my siblings would agree, but an abundance of love. There certainly was also an abundance of chaos, opinions, sibling rivalry, and all that other stuff, but I'm going to set that aside. Our parents taught us early about being responsible, including with our money and our time. With our small allowances, we learned not only about responsible spending and saving, which I still feel very responsible about today, but also about the joy of sharing. From a young age, I noticed how the wider culture often contradicted some of the values of my upbringing. Messages of greed, individualism, scarcity, the advertising and marketing, you don't have enough, fear of missing out, and the fear that I don't have enough were everywhere. I got curious how to try to balance these contradictions for myself. Over many years, my exposure to a variety of religious scriptures, to literature, music, politics, and somatic embodiment, yoga, different things, has expanded my view on generosity. I already said this, but tried various forms of prayer and somatic embodiment, loving kindness and Tonglen meditations. I learned of the practices of tithing, and one I like to adhere to a little bit more is the Buddhist dana, which are acts of giving, not just money, but hospitality, time, or presence, and giving freely without expecting anything in return. For years, I have practiced trying to live into this with less fear and with more of a generosity of spirit, like saying yes more willingly, hence I'm here today, volunteering in ways that were meaningful and less charity focused, sharing smiles and laughter more freely, doing small acts of kindness, as well as liberating my resources and money with small actions at first, like being more generous in tipping for service workers and buskers, or contributing to any child who came up to me and asked to contribute to their cause. The courage it took and the joy that I felt in saying yes, even if I didn't want the item, I still contributed and either passed the item on, somehow figured it out. I still do that. And I choose to donate to organizations that I know and trust, especially to those who may be under-resourced, BIPOC-led, or where I feel my money can make a more significant difference. Over time, with regular practice, I've come to realize not only that I have enough, but that I am enough. I feel my heart opening. My whole body feels different, more at ease and spacious when I am practicing generosity. And I find a deep sense of well-being and joy with these intentional practices. I am aware of the connection and delight I experience with others, not only in my generosity towards them, but also when I practice acts of receiving with grace and gratitude when others are generous towards me. I realize that this is sometimes a more difficult spiritual practice for me than to be the giver, yet it often is even more fulfilling and connecting. There's still plenty of room for me to grow, so this is an ongoing practice. More recently, thanks to much of what I've experienced here at First Universalist through our sanctuary and resistance accompaniment, spiritual circles, shout out to Karen Heegard and Drew Rosiel for facilitating a group on this very topic, and other beloved community practices. This sense of peace is expanding beyond what I personally am doing to a deep sense of joy and connection that is shared when we are generous as a community. I find that the communal practices of generosity of spirit, such as we all experienced during the Operation Metro surge, can be an antidote to this current and pervasive culture of greed, exclusion, cruelty, and hate. My decision to be involved with and to contribute to the communal generosity of our Finish the Promise initiative that Lynn spoke of not only brought me some really great connection to others, but a great satisfaction in knowing that paying off this debt is a gift of generosity to next generations. Partly due to my age and fortune of my life circumstances, along with my spiritual practice, I now have a deep sense that I not only have enough, but I actually have way more than enough. And I am thoroughly enjoying the practice of giving while I'm living and leaning into a newer concept that I'm learning more about is dying with zero. When my grandson Antonio was 10, just a few years ago, he created this drawing as a gift for me. He used the first letters of what my grandkids call me, which is Gigi, G-I-G-I. And for one of the letters G, he has generous. I'm feeling very content and moved that this practice of generosity, passed from my parents to me, to my children, and now to a fourth generation, is an important part of my spiritual legacy that I am leaving with them.
Thank you, Jean. Last week, Reverend Jen quoted Grace Lee Boggs, who is a Chinese-American philosopher, writer, and activist who is famous for many things, including these words: "Building community is to the collective as spiritual practice is to the individual." Building community is to the collective as spiritual practice is to the individual. I love those words. I love how those words remind us of the importance of life together, life in community, and in communities of deep intention grounded in love, like First Universalist. They offer an invaluable way to invite us into the spiritual practice of community. Tandeka, a Unitarian Universalist minister and theologian, reminds us that as Unitarian Universalist, we affirm right relationship as a reverential act. In her book titled Small Group Ministry, in the introduction to a book titled Small Group Ministry, she didn't actually write the book, she tells the story of a congregant who she says was the most respected elder statesman of the church, who stood up and slowly walked to the front of the church. He faced the congregation and he said he was interested in joining a covenant group. There's many names for small groups, that's one name. Much to everyone's surprise, he said that he wanted something like this for years because he was lonely. "I don't have any friends," he finally confessed. This, my friends, is a large church. It is beautiful, it is vital, and there's a lot of spirit here. And yet, I have heard congregants with similar declarations in their lives in connection to First Universalist. So how do we center the spiritual practice of community and frame it in reverence? One proven way across faith traditions is small groups. Small groups are what Tandeka describes as ministries of the heart. What we know is that when a large enough number of people in a congregation, 40 to 60%, participate in small groups, individuals who make up the congregation are transformed, and the culture of the congregation changes as well. I recently took a class on adult faith formation from the Unitarian Universalist Association, and they described two types of small groups. I kind of like this: mixing and huddling. So mixing is learning with others from different perspectives, while huddling is learning or being in a small group with a cohort that shares a dominant identity, such as age or gender or perspective. Since I've been here, I've noticed that we have a good number of groups that are identity-based or huddling groups. What we're lacking is small groups with a wide invitation, open to anyone of any identity who simply wants to be in an intentional community with one another. Groups like that result in mixing. We noted this gap recently and we hired Casper, who happens to be right over here. He's our Community Connections Coordinator. Thank you, Kaz. Kaz is a delight. I look forward to you all getting to know him. So his title is Community Connections Coordinator. Say that a couple times. One part of his role is to reignite a community of small groups here at First Universalist. So thank you for that, Kaz. So Kaz, if you're interested in being part of this effort, and in particular if you're interested in helping facilitate a small group who will be trained and supported by Kaz, let him know. The small groups will focus on our monthly worship themes and invite participants to share and reflect through a number of prompts in a consistent environment created with trust. What I see in small groups is that they provide a mirror and a door. A mirror so that we realize we are not as alone as we thought we were. When you hear someone, particularly someone who's basically a stranger at church, say something that might have come out of your own mouth, there is this sense of connection, and sometimes new personal insights emerge. The door is when you get to see inside somebody else's life. My goodness, we are storied people, and our stories are so interesting and profound and laced with wisdom. In a safe environment, questions can arise, rich stories are told, reflections are abundant, deep listening occurs, and people experience being heard. In small groups, time slows down, and the group, when facilitated well, settles into a level of trust, knowing that introverts will actually have a time to speak if they choose to. People are always allowed to pass. And that extroverts learn how to curb their verbalized thoughts or enthusiasm, trusting that they too will have a time when it's their turn to speak. This is really good for extroverts, because I am one of those. I remember many years ago when I was an intern here in the congregation, Jen making me describe my spiritual practice every time I talk to her, that a person who was in a small group said that they've come to notice how their conversations with friends and families don't feel balanced anymore, and that they don't always feel heard. This practice of small groups was a way that they had learned to relate to other people and learned how to communicate in a way that's kind of mutually thriving. That doesn't always happen when we walk out the door of this church. Small groups create a container, a covenantal way of being together where we can all continue to grow in love. So there have been times in groups that I've led where we've had to stop and acknowledge something that was said or something that happened that impacted the group or an individual in a way that was not really intended. And these are groups where we are all learning and practicing together. And these moments are just deepening moments, not of shaming or calling out, but of calling in. And calling in not just the individual who might have stepped in something, but also calling all of us in to be our best selves and to allow for vulnerability and learning. Honestly, I was walking and kind of putting my words together, and I get so excited about small groups, they literally take my breath away. It feels like such an honor to get to be in them and to be in them with you. And I think you will find the same thing of being in them with each other. It's the simplicity, the consistency, and the way that trust is built and held. Small groups provide a profound way that we can come to know one another, know ourselves, and know the community. So here we say together each Sunday that love is the spirit of this church. As UU Minister Nancy McDonald-Ladd says, the theology of love was never a monologue. The theology of love was never a monologue. Church is to be practiced in community. Love is to be practiced in community. I hope you will sign up when you start to see small groups emerging and practice that love together.
This is hymn 1008 in the teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in the Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep without, share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith. Then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Dear ones, there are a few opportunities set up in the social hall where you can spend a little time if you're willing to make a big difference. You can join Harut and Allison as they set up for summer camp. There's a role for everybody. They're preparing materials, organizing snacks, moving boxes, folding cardboard bricks, remember those that kids play with, and more. So grab your coffee and meet Harut and Allison at the welcome desk in the atrium. And you will see that UU The Vote has a table going with postcards. We have made big promises with numbers of postcards we're going to. Yep.
I'm sure you want to visit the Finish the Promise team.
Oh,
too.
and finish
Yep,
the candies at the Finish the Promise team over there with Lynn. So please come down and join us. There's also a welcome table if you are new today and want a place to settle and find some warm conversation. So dear ones, I hope your heart is in a holy place. I hope today's service has opened up some possibilities for you for your own spiritual practice, for how you might be in this community, and how generosity may continue to open your spirit and connect us to one another. You are all such blessed human beings. It is an honor to be part of this community with you. Go in peace.